That was abrupt. Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello, hello. Wait, did I say we weren't going to do this layout? Let's
You
make it
did, yeah.
smaller.
That's a little bit better.
Sorry. I was looking at one of the streams from September and I was like, oh my God, I gained
Yeah.
so much weight. Hi,
We
guys.
don't we don't need
Hello.
to be that up close and personal.
No, we sure don't.
How are you? How are you
Welcome.
doing?
I'm good. I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Florida Sam is where she originated from.
OH.
So, yeah, I saw my dad today. I'm here to take care of some things for my mother. OHIO. That's right,
Mhm,
Kimbers, Ohio.
mhm.
Um, so I'll be back in Florida next week. And then I'll be back up here, I think, some more soon
Okay.
rather than later. But yeah, I'm glad that we're able to do this. I was watching, I think you and Aaron, or maybe Scotty and Alexis, like everybody texted me yesterday to say verdict, verdict, verdict. And I was talking to, I had a person out at my mom's house, and I was like, I grabbed him and I'm like, you can't leave until I see what the result of this is. So I got to watch it live with you guys. So yeah,
Good, good. So what was your opinion on that verdict?
I honestly was relieved. I just I have said this before, and I don't have a moral position on the death penalty. I have a my view is that it's stupid because I don't believe it acts as a deterrent, and it you it the case isn't closed at the end of the trial. It's an automatic appeal. I mean, it's going to be an automatic appeal. Actually, I don't know if life without parole is automatic appeal or not, even though I read it earlier and I have it on the slide. But the death penalty is an automatic appeal,
Right.
and it goes straight to the Florida Supreme Court. So from my view, from my perspective, it's like you're reopening the wound every time it comes back around, um, and we know that it can take a very long time for people to be executed. So that's I just think it's if it were me, I guess I don't know that I would see that as justice. I would see that as being re-traumatized, but I've never been in that position. How
Mhm.
did you? What do you think about the verdict?
Well, I was doing very light research throughout the trial, and yeah, there's been research going back to the 1800s. The main pro for DP is deterrent, right? And in Florida, I think it's like 22.8 years. People stay on the row, if you will. But then the con is it's not a deterrent in the sense of when you commit a crime, you don't necessarily know that that's going to be a DP. So
Correct.
I
That's
could
correct.
go
You're
out.
exactly right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's not really a deterrent in that sense, So it's like, oh, if I shoot somebody, I know I'm gonna get to the DP. No, you don't. Spend, you could call stand your ground. You could be life without parole. I mean, there's all these other things that could happen. So I go into it, as open as I can, and I do my research. So um, I was on the side of, okay, it's not a deterrent. Now that like I said, I did very very brief high level research. So I'm sure there's other people out there that obviously know more about it than I do. But from what I saw, going back to like 1850s or 60s, they've been researching this, and it's not a deterrent. You spend more money. The state spends more money keeping people on the row. I don't know. Yeah, they don't. From what I could hear from, I forget his name right now, but he was a warden. Do you remember that guy? Did you see his testimony at all? Young guy.
I heard it.
Yeah.
I had you guys on while doing other things.
Right. So he was saying that inmates they have to keep the buildings operational. They mow the lawn, they paint, they do laundry. They do all these things to not only keep the other inmates they cook, they clean, all this stuff, but they save the state money by um, painting, doing upkeep, all that stuff. So inmates, sorry, people on the road don't, because I think they're right 23.
Lockdown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
they don't give back to society. In other words, so from that standpoint, I guess I was okay with. I mean, it was a win for the defense, right? It was a win for the defense. You could see
It
everybody.
is. When your client is facing DP, it is definitely a win for the defense when they get life.
Yeah,
Um, and personally, I don't think it's a deterrent because half the people out there don't think they're gonna get caught for the crime, and then, like you
right,
said, they don't know that it's gonna qualify, and frankly, at least in Florida, the state has to file a notice, um, that they're seeking that.
right.
So it's not just, like, automatic, you know?
Right. So when you look at things, when you kind of balance it out, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, if this doesn't meet that, that burden or that level, then what will? And I can honestly say that guy in Texas, what he did to that little girl, that definitely meets the, the standard. If anybody should get the DP, it should be that guy. These guys, I mean, yeah, what they did was terrible and all that, but comparing what that guy in Texas did to it's to me it's not, it's like apples and oranges. So I did, I noticed all the defense team, everybody was patting the defendants' backs and all that stuff. They I guess ultimately I would love to see, and I talked a lot about this with our chat and everything. It's like, I don't want them to just rot in jail, right? I want them to now somehow give back. And the way I
Mhm.
was saying is every day for the next 40 years of your life,
Yeah.
go and, or have people come in, have kids come in, 9, 10, 11 year olds, and say, do not look up to me. I'm not a hero. This is not the life for you. This is, you're going to end up, you could end up on the row. If things went differently, I would be facing execution in 20 years, and I would like them to at least, because it seems like Rashad, he's joined Bible, he's gotten a bunch of certificates. He's
Yeah, that did sound
teaching,
like that. Mhm.
yeah, he's teaching Bible classes. Sean, for sure. Again, it's how much do you believe them? I know some people are going to say, "Oh, I believe them," and other people are like, "Ah, no,
Right.
they're just talking out the other side." And I
Yeah.
get that. Whatever. That's, we're not here to debate that. All I'm saying is what I'm going on is what they're saying. So put them to work, for try to change some
Yeah.
minds out there. So that's what I
Yeah.
would that's what I would like. So
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely I don't know. I think it's a better I understand that someone was, killed brutally and, um,
I think the
that 3 others
stalking,
were
yeah, this,
injured. I mean, there was a lot of
that,
there was a lot of work that went into that.
yeah,
I get that, and you know as well as I do, I've spent the better part of a year diving into the world of Jacksonville drill rap and trying to understand this whole thing.
hmm,
And I want to say that um, I feel like it's been one of the more tragic cases I've ever worked on,
hmm,
not just because Charles Jones, Julio Foolio died, but going back and seeing all the deaths related to
absolutely.
both sides. I went back to 2015. Um, and so, I mean, the list is insane. I think the chart that Alexis and I made, if I'm not mistaken, the full one is 12 pages long. And so that has the sheet that we made has everybody's names and real names and street names and
Oh, you just froze. All right, this is a good time to remind Chad, if you have a question, do QQQ just like Barry Adams did, and we'll wait for Sam to come back. Hopefully, hopefully it won't be too long. Let's see here. What Camilla's asking questions. Yep, Kimber's, remember to put QQQ if you have a question.
Okay, I tethered to my phone.
There you
I am
are.
not
Okay.
home. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I normally at home I plug directly into the internet. I'm so sorry. I
It's
am
okay.
not at home. I'm sitting in front of a big window and I have no idea where the router is here. And
It's
so
okay.
now I'm hooked up to my phone. So if we lose signal, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So I was just saying, if they have questions, go ahead and do a QQQ. Barry's got a really good one, but whenever you want
Okay.
to get to questions, that's fine
Yeah,
too.
so I put this up so I wouldn't forget because I'm forgetful. Death penalty appeal is automatic, but
Mhm,
Scotty, hi Scotty, thanks for taking care of Henry for those days. Um, so he says the appeal will proceed as standard felony appeal under life without. So,
mhm,
um, and that's not to say, guys, for anybody who's out there, and that doesn't mean it's a do-over. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a process. Somebody's going to review the record and look for constitutional rights violations, essentially.
mhm.
So, okay. I'm
Can
so glad to have you guys all. And sorry, I haven't called everyone out and I'm not tagging people. I don't have multiple screens. I'm got a laptop propped on a trash can and I'm just doing the best I can.
you're
Yeah,
winging
can
it?
we all give like some kudos to Scotty Sonardi, who is in the
Mhm,
chat, for giving the
absolutely.
most concise uh closing statement ever. And
Yes.
I think we said this in our last stream, but I want to make sure people know Davion was not mad at Scotty. Like
Mhm,
he approved the closing. He approved it before and he saw it right after Scotty made it at my house. He went to the jail, showed it to Davion. Davion said it was good. When Scotty went and sat down, Davion was good. There was
mhm,
a verbal altercation between the cousins. They are not brothers.
mhm,
Rashad and Davion are cousins, and they had a little bit of a dispute. And that's Davion just happens to be louder. So that's why Davion was taken out of the courtroom. We did talk about that last stream. I just
mhm.
wanted to be very crystal clear that Davion was pleased with Scotty's closing.
Good.
So there can
Good.
be no doubt about it.
Mhm. So let's talk then about, if you don't mind, the guilt phase was 7.5 hours, and then the penalty was an hour and 20 minutes. So,
Really? It was that fast?
it was that fast, yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
when,
Okay.
so let me ask you this: when, and Scotty, if you want to weigh in on this as well, when a jury comes back within an hour and 20 minutes, do you usually think that that's going to be the worst case scenario, or do you think, like, how do you read the tea
Yes.
leaves?
No, I think the faster they come back, typically the worse you think it's gonna be.
Hmm.
Um, I was pleased that they were out for would you say 7.5
Yeah,
hours?
yeah, just a little
Yeah,
bit
so
over.
I was happy with that, right? Because
Hmm.
to me, that meant that they gave it the verdict careful consideration. I didn't realize, because I am not, obviously I wasn't in court, and I wasn't at home in Tampa. So, and I'm here for a purpose, and I was working on that while carrying my phone around. And so I
Hmm.
would have you on when I could, but I hadn't found the Wi-Fi at my mother's house. So I was using my phone, which is, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to blow through all my data on YouTube. Um, so I didn't realize it was that short, but I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Scotty, do you have an opinion on how long they took for penalty phase? Uh my words are not going to come to us. Richard in the kitchen says, trust us. After state closing, we sure appreciate it, Scotty's. Yeah.
Hmm.
How did you guys feel about, I'll let Chris walk me through questions, and you guys put your questions up because I'm tired and I'll go in 50,000 different directions. But I wanted to know, because I was in your chat for the days leading up to before I left, And I wanted to know how people felt about Mr. Harmon and the tone he took, and whether that was off-putting to you guys. Like, did it make you feel something? I mean, I understand that people out there think I'm biased because I work in the defense. And I have told you, all of you, time and time again, I'm not here to get guilty people off, right? I'm just part of the
Mhm.
system. I do a job that needs to be done. But like, I've seen defense attorneys take tones, and Mr. Harmon just did not, I felt, need to be that nasty. Did that have
Mhm.
any impact on you at all?
Most certainly. Yeah. Now there's two ways to look at this. If you, because I go back to like defendants that I'm not sympathetic towards,
Mhm.
like Jodi Arias. I loved Juan Martinez's cross on her because he just sliced her, sliced her, sliced her. Um, let's see, who else? Charlie Adelson. The cross of Miss Kappelman was just like, yes. Um, so it's a hard one to, because it's a hard question to answer, because I did think that Mr. Harmon was he had a tone for sure, but he's doing his job, so I have to take my emotions out of it, and I step back. I'm like, he's doing his job, and if he's trying to get justice for Charles Jones's family and friends, so if he comes across as like rapier, slicing and dicing, especially Sean. I mean, he just went after Sean. Then that's his job, and he's trying to get justice for his client, or for his, for the victims. So yes, I thought he had a tone, and there was times where I'm like, sir, you don't have to be like that. But I'm like, if this was Juan Martinez crossing Jodi Arias, I'd be like, yes, yes, or Alan Jackson. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, I had to take my emotion out of it. But I think a lot of people in our chat thought the same way, where he was like, you don't have to be that condescending or that cutting or that. But then if you're on Charles Jones's side, you're like, yeah, cut Sean up and down 7 ways to Sunday. He deserves it, that kind of stuff. So I guess it depends on which side of the coin you fell on. So that's my opinion.
I just think that when somebody gets nasty like that, no matter what they're like, if one of the defense attorneys had done that, I would have just been like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with my head down. I wouldn't have liked that. I don't like that when we see cases where the attorneys are unduly harsh one way or another.
Yeah.
So I was curious about that. Um I want to answer the pretty chick. Welcome. I
Mm-hmm.
believe you're new here. Welcome. And she says, I'm sorry if this has been asked. What happens next during sentencing and the family statements if we already know what the sentence will be? Okay, so I think that the reason sentencing was put off, and Scotty can correct me if I'm wrong, which I may very well be, but some of them were not convicted felons, which means they're entitled to pre-sentencing investigation reports.
Mm-hmm.
And even though there is no other choice, right? Life is, they're going to get life. That's
Yeah.
still, like I tell you guys, sometimes you get mad because you're like, I see in chats, sit down, be quiet. They move for the
Mm-hmm.
that the state hasn't proven their case. It's
Mm-hmm.
all a checkbox. Everybody
Right.
has to do their job. And there
Yep.
is something called criminal procedure, the same way
Mm-hmm.
there is civil procedure. And the procedure means you go through and you check the boxes as an
Mm-hmm.
attorney, whether you believe it's true or not, right? You have to do these things.
Sure.
Um, and so for no, the sentencing isn't going to come as any surprise, but it's about upholding constitutional rights. And I know Davion obviously is convicted of felonies, but I don't remember for the other three what their records were like. So I think that's why.
Well, I wonder if Sean's shooting of 3 people in Oxford, Mississippi, is going to come in at all.
What is that all about, though?
I don't know. I don't know
Like,
what happened out of it. If he got arrested, it was in 2023. Um, let me see. It's really easy. All you have to do is Sean Gathright, arrest in Mississippi. I already have it. 2 counts of premeditated with a firearm, 3 counts of first degree. Oh wait, no. Sorry, that's the other one. Okay, so this is that's the current one. All right, so this was May 25th of 2023. So this was a year before Charles Jones in Tampa. So a 17-year-old will be tried as an adult after 3 people were shot at an apartment complex in Oxford, Mississippi. The gunfire rang out Sunday, May 20th, just after 1:30 a.m. at the Holly Hills apartment off of Church Street. Sean Gathright, 17-year-old from Jacksonville, Florida, was arrested in connection to the shooting, charged with aggravated assault. He was initially given a bond of $50,000. He'll be charged through youth court. I don't know whatever came of that.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like
I don't know. Yeah.
and so he actually wasn't as clean and innocent as he was portrayed to be. Um, yeah, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
crazy. When I think it was you or Aaron that told me about that. I was like, oh my God. Because my work on this case was essentially finished. So then it was just an investment in the trial. And I'm really glad they put sentencing off, because I will be able to come back to Tampa and I can go see Davion. And I do want to go see him. And I was sending, the lawyers text messages every day. Like I even sent Billy. I was like, tell Davion, he's doing a good job, and, to hang in there and everything. And I know it got really hard for them at the end. And I'm not involved in second phase or the penalty phase as a mitigation specialist. It's messy. And I don't, at 52, I don't want to do messy. But that's an emotional thing for people. And Davion, everybody's like, oh, he's so cold and calculating. Actually, he's not. He's not. But he wears all his emotions on his sleeve. And also, I feel kind of bad because we don't think about the fact that cameras may be on us at certain times. And like, we try to make them laugh. We try to distract them a little bit, because it's so heavy and it's just so much. And anybody that works in a profession that is this serious, that is this dark, you have to find the levity somewhere. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
100%.
the bailiffs do it too. They're not bailiffs, they're deputies, they're sheriff's deputies. And, they all know them. We know them. We're all joking around and talking about stupid, different stuff, because we see them, case after case and trial after trial, and these defendants see the deputies as well. So, it's not like, oh, you're a bad person for doing this bad thing, and so no one is going to talk to you now. We try very hard to involve them, at least the attorneys I work with, like Scotty Sonardi and Nick Sonardi, and Brian Gonzalez. We involve our defendants in their own defense, and we treat them as human beings, because they are. And for me, I don't know if it was a question or a comment or something that came up in your chat, or if it's something that just popped into my mind, but I wanted to express this. So the person that commits the crime, whatever that crime is, it's often a year or more, sometimes a lot more, before I ever come in contact with them. So let's say they were an addict and they committed their crime, and a long time has passed. They're not that same. They are the same person, but they're not the same, if that makes any sense.
100%.
And so, they have been taken out of society. They are in custody. They are, they've been in the county jail for however long. They're pretty far distanced. And for our young ones, especially, they are growing up and they're changing, and they're living formative years now in county jail waiting to go on trial. And I'm in no way excusing what anyone has done, but I just want to say that, like, no, I walk in and I sit down across from them, and I suffer for something called benign tremors. So I shake,
Mm.
but I'm on a medication to stop that. Before that, though, I didn't know, right? And I didn't realize it was so, but like I was vibrating and it was so obvious. And I
Mm.
would go in and somebody would be like, "Are you scared of me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not actually. I feel
Right.
safer locked in here with you than I do out there." Um,
Wow.
so, people, I feel like it's easy for them to judge us, me, Scotty, anybody who works on a defense team.
Yeah.
But, as I always remind everyone, just imagine if it were you, your friend, your loved
Mhm.
one who did that. There's still a person, hopefully, inside there. Now, I've come across a few psychopaths who absolutely not. But
Mhm.
Davion Murphy is quick to smile. He is
Mhm.
quick to, joke around. And it doesn't mean he doesn't understand the gravity of his situation at all.
Mhm. Yeah.
He does. He 100% does.
Mhm.
So I wanted to say that.
Sure. We have this conversation a lot, or I guess it's one-sided because I'm the one talking and Chad is responding to it. It's like you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So if you sit there as a defendant and you're Rashad and you look like you're drugged or you're falling asleep,
He did.
well,
He
you
really
know,
did look that
people are
way.
like, "What's wrong with him? What's wrong with him?" Or then if you're Donna Adelson and she's making all kinds of histrionic poses and stuff, you're like, "Oh,"
Um,
so you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because we as chatters, we watch and we're like, we're quick to bust out the pitchforks and torches, as our right. It is that's what we do here. So it's my job and our mod's job to be like, okay, guys, if you're going to froth intelligently. These people are probably told not to show emotions. And when they do, they get admonished by the courts, case in point, Donna Adelson. But that being said, Rashad, there was one moment in the guilt phase where it was before the judge came out and the cameras were on them because they would come out like 10 minutes before. And he was
mhm.
he was laughing with the bailiff, or was it the sheriff, deputy, whatever.
There's I mean, from
Sheriff, yeah.
TV, right? We want to call
Yeah.
them bailiffs,
Bailiffs,
but
yeah.
in Hillsborough County, they are sheriff's deputies that are in
Okay.
those courtrooms, and
Okay.
they're assigned to the judges. But I think I told you this on our last stream, that this was one of only two trials, that like big trials, that happen to be going on right now in
Mm-hmm.
that courtroom. And so if the deputies, if their judge isn't in session for something, then they just come to where something is happening,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all really, really nice people. And very, very kind, very friendly, very helpful, everything like that. And they are decent to the defendants as well, especially, I haven't had a problematic one coming in and out of court. Now I can imagine that could
Mm-hmm.
be different. I
Mm-hmm.
know Davion does not have a lot of love for the deputies in the jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
between them. I just know that to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, he did end up in the box. We heard that through testimony or something. We
yeah,
did
he
hear we
sure
did.
did.
So,
He sure
but
did.
just real quickly to get back to Rashad, he was laughing, he was joking, he was smiling, he was actually having a conversation with somebody off camera, and I'm assuming it was one of the sheriffs. I think, and that was before the run. They had words. So, and I think he was looking over at Davion, and they were conversing, and so it's nice to see that side of him because generally, as you saw, I mean, he was
Yeah,
like a blank
yeah.
slate. And
He
then, I didn't find anything wrong with that. There were some people that did. And again, that's your right. That's your opinion. But I know that probably they're being told, and you can corroborate this or not. Are they being told not to show emotions? Do you guys actually say that, or is that something that?
I did with Davion,
Mhm.
because with this particular trial, and there's a subreddit devoted entirely to Duval County, as you know, which is the Jacksonville rap Reddit, and of
Mhm.
course with like TikTok and all the things. Um, I felt like, hey, they are catching you being yourself
Mhm.
and cutting that and being like, this is a cold-hearted person, who,
Right.
and I think that in some ways, some things that Sean said may be true, which
Mm-hmm.
is I try not to think about that night. I
Mm-hmm.
try not to think about that, and we had, I don't know whether there was, any drugs involved on any of their parts, but I know
Mm-hmm.
that if I'm involved in something, I have never shot at somebody, but
Mm-hmm.
if I experience something that is traumatic, then I don't want to be reliving it over and over again. And so,
Right.
some people will deal with trauma in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Davion's interrogation video probably did him no favors for a lot of people, but honestly, I think he's a very talented singer. You know,
Who? Davion?
Davion,
Or
yeah.
oh,
I think he
okay.
can sing from
Yeah.
his interrogation video from the
Mm-hmm.
Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. I
Yeah.
also think if this case had come in front of Jacksonville courts, or I don't know if it would have been prosecuted as zealously as it
Mm-hmm.
was here.
Hmm.
Um, so Sylvia Hunter, welcome to my channel. And she says, although all aspects of this case was horrible, it was heartfelt to see each of their humanity being acknowledged. They made a terrible choice, but were not totally demonized. And I agree. I mean, I think that, getting to show, the getting to show just the fact that they are they did a wrong, terrible wrong thing, but they are still people too,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and for the younger ones, I mean, Sean came across as like kind of being squeaky clean in a way, but
Mm-hmm.
now we know that like he was involved in a shooting in another state, so clearly not so squeaky clean. And then
Yeah.
his interrogation video, that
Mm-hmm.
showed a different side of him.
Yep.
um
Absolutely. And he had two casings from the previous attempt on Charles from October of 2023. Yeah.
yeah, October
So
23, yeah.
yeah. So was he
Yeah.
part of that attempt, or did somebody collect those and give it to him? I mean, that's
Well,
weird. Why would he have casings from that attempt? That just
exactly.
makes no sense.
Exactly.
So you're right. He doesn't. He once you kind of understand these things, and I wonder if that will come out. Well, we already know about the October 2023, but I wonder, is it? I mean, at this point, nothing's too prejudicial. So is somebody
Well,
going to?
there's no more to be told, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no more to present, there's no more aggravation, there's no more mitigation. It's
right,
all said and done. It's just the
yeah,
formal sentencing.
yeah,
And again, my thought is that the reason why is because some of them were not convicted felons, which,
hmm.
they're entitled under Florida law to pre-sentencing investigation report.
Do you think we'll get
And there's
more
an
Sorry,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to ask, do you think there'll be more victim impact statements this go around? Because
Oh,
was Sandrika Mays was the only one, and it was read. She wrote a letter. So
yeah, that was interesting.
like no other members of Julio's family or
Well,
friends
normally that
did
does
not.
happen at sentencing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
because I guess her letter or statement was part of the mitigation, the
Hmm.
second phase stuff, but we may still hear from her, and we may hear
Hmm.
from his other family members. We may
Hmm.
hear from friends. The Sunny Bell sentencing, they had a lot of security in that courtroom because they were expecting that to just explode. And
Hmm.
it didn't, as you well know.
Hmm.
The family that had been there had been a fight that broke out, right,
I
between
remember.
two
Yeah.
sides outside the
Hmm.
courtroom,
Yeah, yeah.
on that case. And so the deputies weren't taking any chances with that. And I mean, they had them packed in there, and
Hmm.
even the entire row of us as defense people, we were backed up against the bar, like the well, and the defendants were out in front of us. They kept a space between us and them, And then
Mhm.
every witness that came up to say anything, the deputies were on them like that.
Mm.
And that went very differently than we thought it would, right?
Mhm.
It was like the family came in very forgiving.
Mhm.
Um, so it'll be very interesting to see how this goes.
Mhm.
When did she set it off for? Is it the 22nd of June, or am I just making that up?
No, yeah, 22nd. Yeah, let's see. I have my notes here. Definitely the 22nd. I think 1:30. I think 1:30. Let me check. Yeah, June 22nd at 1:30. So, afternoon, an afternoon thing.
Like,
Alexis says Sandrika says all that she feels on her Instagram live streams, which is true, but you want to
mhm.
get that on the record, I would think as well. She would want to say something on the record, but or maybe not. I don't
It's
know.
hard, it's
Yeah.
hard to say.
Yeah.
We're not, we can't ever
Yeah.
be on her in
Yeah.
her shoes. But yeah,
Yeah.
she does have she has her own social media.
Mhm.
Um, I appreciate this comment from Honey Badger and welcome to the channel. Thank you for allowing us to see another side of the defendants. I'm not totally against DP, but I do think life without parole is the correct sentence in this case. Well, thank you. And I wanted to say to your chat, because I mean, you and me and Aaron have been friends for longer than the week that your chat saw me in there. And I know some
Mhm.
of my chatters here have been with me since the beginning. We
Mhm.
have some cross pollination, right? We have some overlap.
Mhm.
But what I
Yeah.
wanted to say was that I really appreciated the how respectful people in your chat who did not know me were, because I
Mhm.
took a 5-month break from YouTube. It was unintentional, but it just happened. And you know, people were nice and they asked thoughtful questions, and I tried to give them the best answers I could. I obviously got no work done
Mhm.
because I might as well have been at the courthouse, but I had caught a cold from somebody there, and then I
Mhm.
had this, and I can feel it still in my chest a little bit. I had this very deep, like,
Still.
rasping,
Mm. Ouch.
and I just didn't want to be in there and either get somebody else sick or whatever. But I do want to go back.
Mhm.
I want to, even if I'm back up here for the month of June,
Mhm.
as soon as I get back to Tampa, I am going to go talk to Davion at the jail, because I felt horrible that I was not there,
Mhm.
just to show support, you
Of
know.
course. You spent all this time, wow, a year, 2 years with him?
I think we got it a year. I
A
think
year? Or it was
Alexis
2
can tell
years?
you. I think
Yeah.
we got it a year ago.
Yeah. What am I
Um,
thinking? Because
and
it didn't happen 2 years ago. Well, it's coming up on 2 years. It's coming up on 2
yeah,
years. Yeah.
I cursed myself.
You did. Do you think I think somebody asked this question, so I'm not going to well, I will. I'll hopefully we can still pull it up. Will they all be housed together? Do you know that? Do you have any idea how that works?
They will not be.
They will not be okay.
I mean, it may be coincidental if they end up at the same prison. So
Mm.
they'll all go to the intake processing center, whatever that's called. I can't even think of
Yeah.
that right now. So they'll all go there first.
Hmm.
It's an assessment intake situation, to
Yeah.
try to figure out where they will go. But no, it is not common, to my knowledge. I guess I would say, to the best of my knowledge, it is not common that they would all be together. They
Hmm.
may, inmates get shifted around from prison to prison, um, for reasons I don't know,
Hmm.
right? The DOC decides that, and you never know who you're going to come across in prison.
Hmm.
And I've had some people in prison who, like, passed out my name to other prisoners, and then they write me a letter and ask me to work on their case for free.
Hmm.
um, which I can't do. So
You can't. I know. And then there's Davion and Rashad's uncle and
yeah,
father, right? Rashad's father, right? It's his father that testified, and then the uncle,
yeah.
right? Because Davion doesn't. His father's,
No,
or is
wasn't
it
it
Davion's father?
it was somebody's brother, father's brother? No, yes, no.
It was the uncle that of both of them, and then I think it was Davion's father because I think it was his father and his brother shot somebody when they were like 26, 27, right?
Oh,
So
wow.
that was Rashad's. Both of those would have been Rashad's uncles. Anyway, now it's generational, right? Now you're going to have two generations in jail, or in prison.
We see that a lot. We actually
Yeah,
see that a lot, especially,
yeah.
with our younger ones.
Hmm.
At Linda, I don't know how to say your last part of your name, but I recognize you from Child TV's chat.
Hmm.
We don't have parole in Florida. It does not, it does not, did not, oh my God, you guys.
Oh, there.
I'm
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
I am so, so sorry.
Thank
I
you.
come
Yeah.
on here tired, and I do apologize because this is a whole different level. Um, this is, yeah. And so when I was listening, I actually was able to stream you on the airplane coming here, and it was a really good connection. But then I landed and I get in the rental car, and like the sound cuts out like every 2 seconds. It was driving me insane. So
Hmm.
I caught stuff and then I lost stuff, and then I tried to catch up on it later. But Alexis says David is Davion's father and Winston
Hmm.
is Davion's uncle. If you ever have
Right.
a question about the facts, ask Alexis, because she is the part of my brain that actually functions,
So
and I
that
appreciate all her work on this case as well.
yes, thank you, Alexis. So then it was Rashad's. Both of those were Rashad's uncle, because I remember both Danny Hernandez wanted to question um, when Deborah Toomey questioned, then Danny Hernandez wanted to question as well. I don't know if you caught that or not. Instead of because they
Oh, yeah. Okay,
because
yeah, I
both
did catch that they both wanted to ask questions.
yeah
Yeah.
of those witnesses, yeah. And I think it was the father that wasn't on screen, but the uncle was. I guess the Winston. I guess
Okay.
he was on screen. So all right,
Okay. All right.
yeah. So the chances of them running into each other, and then I guess they don't really. I guess the DO was it Department of Corrections. They really don't care, right? They're not going to.
I mean, I
They
don't
don't
think
have
they make
sympathy. Yeah,
no.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
No. No.
Although the
So
judge, as we saw in Donna Adelson, she asked, her defense asked Judge Everett if she could be down in Miami so that
yeah.
Harvey
Well,
didn't
good
have
for
to
her.
travel. So
Right.
I
I
think he
mean,
accommodated her on that.
well, it's ultimate. He may have, but it's ultimately up to the DOC. Once it's out of the court, it's out of the court.
Yeah.
Heidi says over here it's 2 at night, so I think you're talking is completely normal. Welcome to my world, Heidi. If you stick around, you will know that this is not out of the ordinary for me. I'm just a little beyond where I normally am. It's been a rough couple of days, and I
Mm,
had to leave Henry at home,
I
but he's being very
know.
well cared for.
Good, good.
Um,
Sherry's is joining us as well
Hi Sherry. I see
in rock
all
and
of you
roll.
guys from over that I recognize from Child TV Live's chat. I don't have two screens like I normally do. I'm just trying to keep I'm not great like Aaron and Chris are with the whole everything. And because I don't stream all the time, StreamYard changes its stuff on me. My computers decide what it's so I see you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Um, I am a private investigator licensed in Florida. I did go to law school, also in Florida. I'm not a lawyer, but I was Davion's private investigator. So I did work with him. And Scotty Sinardi is one of my besties. And Alexis, who is in this chat, is my full time assistant and keeps my business running. Thank God. And the three of us are like a little dysfunctional support group for one another.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and the younger brother. Yeah, Sinister Soul just said, yeah, Adam Goodson was the younger brother
Okay.
of Davion. He testified, and then
That was heartbreaking, right?
yeah,
So Davion I did not work on, like I said, I didn't work on the second phase.
hmm
But Davion had mentioned to me, he's like, why do they have to get my family involved in this? Why,
hmm
what does that what happened to me or what happened when I was a kid? what does that have to do with this now, like this
Mhm.
situation? And
Mhm.
so I have found out over the years of me doing this, working in criminal defense, is that I end up educating sometimes families, but often the defendants, because they've never been to trial and they don't they may have committed crimes. Some of them may have taken a plea deal. Maybe they then violated probation. Maybe they're now just going to trial. I mean, who knows, right? There's all different scenarios. And
Mhm.
so they don't know. They don't know what to expect. They don't understand that they're going to get woken up at 4 a.m., put on a transport van, and they're transported separately. So I'm going to just try to tick through a couple of things that I saw. They
Mhm.
are transported from the Hillsborough County Jail to the courthouse in separate vans. So they're
Mhm.
not all riding together. Once
Mhm.
they arrive, they each have their own deputy at the courthouse, one, if not two. They are kept in separate holding cells. Their clothing that they wear to court is provided to them, sometimes from their family. Sometimes we bring it, sometimes we obtain it for them
Mhm.
if they
Mhm.
don't have anybody to bring it. They change once they come to the courthouse. Their ankles are always shackled. Their hands are free. There's a skirt around the table,
Mhm.
which so that the jury never sees the ankle. And I noticed
Mhm.
that you don't hear the chains because there's it is the like a rubber thing or whatever, plastic or
Oh, okay.
something,
Mhm.
because sometimes you go to visit, depends on who you're seeing at the Hillsborough County Jail, and sometimes they're handcuffed. And so I had one guy who had leg shackles and his arms shackled, and I think he had a chain between them, and so he was really good about like not letting that bang against the table.
Mhm.
um but so they are in these holding cells. Yes, they are provided lunch. Um I saw a lot of people asking about whether they are fed. They're given something. I have no idea what it is.
Mhm.
If they're not in the courtroom, they are in holding cells.
Mhm.
I don't know what they look like. We're not allowed back there.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah. So what I was surprised by was the conversation that that Davion was talking to Rashad, that nobody was sort of putting the kibosh on that. And normally we don't want that to happen. And I told Davion, I'm like, it's every man for himself now. Like,
Mhm.
you have to think about this. This is your life. Yes,
Right.
he's your family, but this is your life.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think if there were any other questions that your chat had that I was trying to answer while I was in there. All of the attorneys were private defense attorneys, but they're paid for by the state. So we didn't have public defenders. If you want
Mhm.
to hear me rant about people and their judgment of public defenders, you can go back through all my old videos and you will see me rant that they are good. They're
Mhm.
Just because somebody is a public defender does not make them a bad lawyer.
Right.
And as you can see in the Sunny Bell case, as well as in this one, um, you would see some of the same attorneys, right? We've seen some
Mhm.
of the same attorneys because there aren't very many at this level
Yep.
here in
The
or
entire
I
state was the same. The entire state, the
yeah,
the the
the
3, yeah.
state, and the defense
And
attorneys.
the defense, yep.
I mean Tampa, not Columbus, but
Yeah.
um, we have these are all experienced, good, seasoned attorneys.
Mhm.
I won a murder trial with Nick Sinardi, you know. So you see every defendant is getting the same outcome.
Mhm.
It's not The evidence is the evidence,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So,
What
um,
Oh, go ahead. Do you
oh,
wanna
you want
you wanna
Barry?
answer Barry's question?
Yeah, I'm trying to grab questions, but I need to scroll back up. So I'm uh not that many. It's the ones that come in with banker boxes, they line them up behind where we are, Barry. So like what's under the table is bags, briefcases, um, power strips, because finding an outlet to plug your stuff into is a freaking nightmare in these courtrooms.
Mm.
Um, you know, Deb kept her tennis shoes under there, so she'd switch out her shoes, you
Mhm.
know, charging cables, just all kinds of stuff like that. But the bankers' boxes, we'd all be kicking them into oblivion. So yeah, that they're not in there. And you know that it's rare to get the bankers' boxes in discovery anymore, although the old school attorneys like Nick and Brian, they still utilize the paper files. And
Mhm.
you know, I've gone to as much digital as humanly possible. Does Davion have any support? Yes, he talks to his mother all the time. He didn't want her to come. So, yeah, it felt bad for him. It felt bad for all of them, and I know that. And I know that your chat was asking about that a lot.
Mhm.
And we talked about it a lot, and because we have so many new people here, I'm just going to go ahead and sort of quickly say the things that we had discussed prior. Jacksonville is 300 miles from Tampa,
Mhm.
so you've got to get here. I keep saying here, you guys, I'm not in Florida, but that's what I mean.
Mhm.
um you have that, you have, okay, this trial was supposed to be 6 weeks. We started it on April 8th, and it finished what, May 15. That's a lot of time to be gone. Jury selection took 10 days,
Mhm.
which was long. Then you have, think about, could you take that kind of time off work? Could you have childcare for that long? If
Mhm.
you are on probation, you may not be able to leave the county. You might not want to set foot into a building where there is law enforcement.
Right.
There's, and this is a gang war. I mean, they're not gangs the way that we know them to be, but still, these are oppositional sides,
Mhm.
and you know, you can't come armed into court. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons, but and the other one was that some of them may have been on witness lists, and
Mhm.
then the state invoked the rule of sequestration, which kept
Right.
them out.
Right.
So I know you covered that. I just wanted to quick say that was also coming from me. I'm trying to look here. Do you see questions?
I see quite a few. I don't have the capability of starring them, so
I know. I'm
I'm
guys,
not doing
hang in
that.
with me. Let's see. Oh, Joanne wants to know, did the defendants have zap belts on? No. Like Lori did. No. I've never seen that here. Um, does Davion have a lot of friends and family supporting him? I don't know about friends. I know he talks to his mama a lot. Let's see. There's a wheel. uh there's a wheel they rotate being PDs. I learned that was Sarah Boone or something like that.
Mhm.
So Sarah was in a different county. I did work on her case at the beginning. Oh, hold on, Kimber. I need to just start storing stuff. Um, we don't have a wheel. And they're not public defenders, they're private defense attorneys. And the clerk just picks up the phone and says, hey, do you want this case? And then if you say no, they go to the next one. The problem is we've got this tiny little circle of attorneys who are qualified to try death cases. And we're running out. It's a
Mhm.
problem,
Yeah.
and some of them are going to retire. Okay, so Kimber's Ohio says her sister lives in New Albany. That's not far from. I'm close to Upper Arlington right now. That's where I am from. Let's see. I would always hear about public defenders and how one shouldn't rely on them. If need be, I'd consider one. Okay, so let's go through this super quick, right? A lot of people go to either the prosecution, which is the state's attorney here in Florida, um, or public defender's office straight out of law school. 10 years paying your loans, and they're forgiven if you work public service. A
Mm.
lot of people will be in public defense. They will go over to the prosecution side and vice versa, right?
Mhm.
doesn't, and some people stay. Some people stay to be prosecutors. Some people stay to be public defenders. They're making over $100,000 a year. These are not bad attorneys because they are public defenders.
Mhm.
The attorneys you're seeing in these cases, they are private defense attorneys that are being appointed to people who cannot pay for lawyers. It's
Mhm.
just a conflict situation. So, I try to explain this over and over and over again, that a lawyer is a lawyer, the same as a doctor is a doctor, but the title of your practice doesn't make you good or bad,
Right.
right?
Yep. No, that's great. That's great explanation. And everybody listening, the next time we have a trial where there's a public defender and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, public defenders, they suck." Well, everybody listening now can say, "No, you're incorrect." They're
Well,
actually,
let me ask you
you
this.
know.
Could you, and like if you went out and got arrested for being the cat daddy, um, I mean, could Aaron bail you out and then, pay for a 50, 60, 70, 80, $100,000 defense?
Of course not.
Right?
I'd call
No.
Jackson Galaxy. We
Yeah,
call
I'd
Jackson
have to call
Galaxy.
Scotty Sonardi and be like, "Hey, you know, get Henry out there for adoption, get some money for me and get me out of here." Like, I just, it's just not, people are not thinking about this.
Right.
And yeah, rock and roll 888. It's so my friends who I went to law school with, I was the oldest person in my class in 2014 because I was 40. I was just about to turn 40. They were all millennials. Well,
Mhm.
now that we're this far out, their loans all got forgiven. The ones that went to public defenders, that went to the Office of Regional Counsel, that are at the Attorney General's office, their loans are gone. I have $400,000 worth of loans. I will die with those loans. They are
Mhm.
never going away.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it the same with prosecutors? Certain ones for, yes. Yes. So certain ones for the level of charges like DP versus manslaughter. Yes. So you start out as in public defense or in the prosecution, like at the misdemeanor, like almost like traffic court, and then you kind of work your way up. So that's why you see Michelle Darty and I always want to call him John Harmon, but his name is Scott Harmon. And now Miss Eismer as well. So, okay. What else can I answer for you guys?
That's a really good thing about we heard all about the defense being DP qualified, but then the state, do they have to be? Do the prosecutors have
Yeah,
to be?
they
They have
have
to
to
be as
get
well.
up to a certain point as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for Scotty to be a part of this trial is a really big deal.
Mhm.
And a great experience for him. He did a great job. I would not be as put it up again, Aaron, for me. Aaron's got a question. Put it down. I don't have anybody starring. StreamYard took away all the free perks.
Mhm.
Alexis put this up from Nancy No. Is it common for defendants to be allowed to use laptops during trial like we saw Davion do? No. That was oh God, I froze again. I'm
Yeah.
frozen.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm frozen.
Okay. At
I'm
least you're
frozen.
smiling. At least you're smiling.
I'm frozen. Am I back?
You're back. You're back. Yep. You're back. You're back.
No, it's not normal. It Miss Twomey, I know it's tell me the right way.
To me.
To
To me.
me.
To
Thank you.
me.
Uh she let him do that. Yeah, I'm so sorry, you guys. Debbie had 2 questions I missed. Okay. So let's see. I'll
Yeah, we
tell
can
you what,
still hear
please.
you. So even if you freeze, we can still hear you. So it's
Okay.
not a bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Erin, I think, is texting me her question.
It was why is Sean red and the other defendants were in orange?
Oh, but that's from a screenshot you guys had, right? It was from a still that you took.
Yeah, it was pre-trial. I think it was all the pre-trial
Okay,
hearings.
right. So Erin was asking me about this earlier at the Hillsborough County Jail. This
Mhm.
is my understanding. The juveniles in the Hillsborough County Jail are all in red and they're segregated. They're in their own pod.
Mhm.
And then the other times I have had people in red is if they are high risk so they are basically in solitary. And the one that comes to mind is Steven Lorenzo. And the more I think about Steven Lorenzo, the more I think I'm going to do a stream dedicated to Steven Lorenzo, because he was all the things. Sovereign citizen, convicted in the federal system, brought back to Hillsborough County, charged, death penalty case, waived a jury trial, still had to have a mitigation, tried to waive it, still had to have aggravation, tried to waive it, tried to waive his appeal, and there's something going on with his appeal, and I want to look into that. But I spent years dealing with Steven Lorenzo, so I think we're going to go down that road. But he was always in red, and he was always shackled. So I think it's high risk at Hillsborough County Jail. We do not have anybody in brown. We have orange and we have red. Juveniles are in red. If Sean was, I think they said he was 18 at the time of the crime, so that wouldn't have been a juvenile, but he may have come in as high risk for some reason. Sometimes, like in Sunnyvale at the beginning, they had them all in segregation. They didn't have them mixed in with general population. They were kept away from each other but originally, because Andrew Thompson was like, please, why am I in close management, solitary, whatever you want to call it. So and I said, I think right now it's to protect you, from somebody coming back and for the, a child is dead.
So Sean was actually 17 when this happened, because it was June and his birthday's in October.
Okay. So he would have been arrested then while he was under the age of 18. That's why he's in red.
That's why he's in red.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's why he was in red.
So he's still 20. He won't be 21 until October 20th.
Oh man, that's crazy.
So they kept saying he was 18 when this happened. He was actually 17 when this happened.
Okay. So that's where I got it from. Yeah. That's where I got it from.
So Debbie's posting a bunch, but I can't pull them up, Debbie, but
okay, so let me look. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Debbie's asking to do question, looking for the other. Okay.
Well, she wants she's saying, once you go see Davion, can you do another stream to tell how he is?
Yes. Okay, you guys, I'm going to scroll back. How hard was it to work on the defense team when the video was so compelling? I mean, all of them, all of the cases I work on have video anymore, video or social media or any of the things. I'm a wealth of knowledge. Thank you. You're welcome. Let's see. You can still hear me. I never left. Frozen with a smile. Okay. Loan forgiveness. Stuff was cruel to those of us who worked multiple jobs to pay for college. Let's see. Rock and Roll said, that's a great way to get folks' student loans paid off. Great way to get some experience under your belt. I've said this before. I think that judges should have to work both prosecution and defense before they're judges, Let's see. Okay, so I got the red clothes. So that is, once he turned 18, you didn't see him wearing red anymore. So we got that. Let's see.
There's one. Striped Socks just had one. If you are
I'm going backwards. Give me 1 second. Because people said I missed their questions. I'm just trying to see what I missed. Okay, you guys, if you have, let's do it this way. If you have a question that I didn't answer, will you please put it again? And I'll put this one up. Is there a way to offer support to Davion? Not condoning what happened. I just feel the other defendants will have lots of support with Davion only having his mom. So the answer to that, the short answer to that is yes, but not right now. Because what's going to happen is he'll be in the Hillsborough County Jail in Tampa until sentencing. And then anywhere from like 3 days to 3 weeks after, he will be transferred into the Department of Corrections. Once that happens and he's given a DOC number, then you can provide support through electronic systems. And what I'll do, if somebody, Alexis is in here, she'll remind me. I'll look up and see what system they're on now, because there's electronic ways to like email them, but it's not free, or you could put money on their books, different things like that, and everything's electronic. So I would not encourage you to do that right now, because I don't know how much longer he will be. I mean, today, well, he'll be there for another 5 weeks. But if you mean going forward, I'll look into the prison part of it. And I don't even know if we're on GTL or JPay or Smart Inmate or what we're on right now. So, but I know that a number of you had asked that before. And I will try to get you the answers. And I'll maybe make it a post when I do. Yes, Alexis, thank you for being such a great support. I do appreciate her. She's keeping me afloat. Pammy, you're such a beautiful soul. I've enjoyed you since we first met a long time ago, but it must be a heavy toll getting attached to the client. How do I deal with it? Honestly, Davion, I haven't known for as long as some of the others. Like the last DP trial I had, that defendant had been around since 2018. And I was the first person of the defense that he would even think about talking to. And it was hard. Like, it was hard. I started to just sort of disconnect from him the closer and closer we got to trial. I've made myself a whole lot less available than I used to. I tried to stay away from involvement with the family. So, for example, in the Sunny Bell case with Andrew Thompson, his family relied very heavily on me for understanding what was going on. And I spent a great deal of time with his sister and his mother, just going through the process of what was going to happen. So now I'm down to just one or two who I would say like I have a connection with. And I've just taken a lot of steps to detach myself. But it's just like, I guess it's at the age I'm at now, it's just easier than it used to be. I don't know, by the time we get to trial, like I'm ready, I'm ready for it to be over, and they are too, for them to go to whatever the next stop is for them.
Yeah. I kind of got that sense from maybe all four of them, where they were just kind of like, once they were convicted, and it's like, then they just kind of continue. I think you just kind of reach a point where you're like, look, I get it. Just either put me to death, or just let me go sit in a cell. I get it. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm done. You kind of reach that point,
Yeah, I will say that. So at the beginning, when we first came in, we were all at this really long table. So I didn't have, like, I was one person apart from Davion, but I didn't have any even eye contact with Isaiah or Sean or Rashad. But then when they moved us around into that weird configuration, I didn't ever like make even eye contact with Isaiah, but Sean would listen to like everything I said to his mitigation specialist or his attorneys. And, we're very close proximity, and he was very inquisitive, and, he seemed very relaxed at the beginning. And then, I came home and was watching it instead of being in court, which saved me a fortune on parking. And I could really see the difference in his face as time went on. And I think I saw it the most in him, the change as the trial went on, because I think reality started to sink in for him, that this is really serious.
I think it was the last day, Friday or Thursday. I think it was Friday, maybe, when defense were doing their closings. Davion was like this, like he was literally doing this, and I'm guessing it was his legs. He was
Yeah,
bouncing
he
his
was just
legs,
bouncing
but he was
because
literally
he's
like
the
this. Yeah.
So, I came after Davion, and even Brian Gonzalez was like, you can't be, holding up signs and laughing at the camera. If the
Mhm.
camera's on you, you need to take this seriously. And my message to anyone who's out there and who is listening to this, Davion wasn't making light of the situation.
Mhm.
Everybody's personality is different. So you saw Rashad. I don't know if Rashad was drugged or not. I didn't work on Rashad's case. I know his lawyer. I worked for his lawyer.
Mhm.
Um, but Rashad's, was just like the 1,000-yard stare the entire time. Davion's way of coping, I think, for anything is to just be. He has a big personality, and
He
he
does.
doesn't he doesn't control his emotions, good or bad,
Mhm.
at all. Like he's just that quick, right? And so I had to just keep reminding him over and over and over again, Davion, poker face, poker face, poker face. You're not in Jacksonville. These people do not know you. They do not know who
Mhm.
Julio Foolio was. They do not know what Ace is. We do not have this kind of a situation in Tampa. That is not
Mhm.
to say we don't have gang activity or we don't have death penalty cases or shootings in the daylight or
Mhm.
any of that. We don't have a drill rap scene. This is all brand new to us.
Right.
And I was like, you have to understand where you are and what is at stake here for you. Because
Mhm.
I think once you've sat in a jail cell for a long enough time, you kind of disconnected, right? You're disconnected from the outside world. You're disconnected from everything. And you see it in his interrogation video, walking around talking to himself. He's not crazy. He's
Mhm.
just expressive.
Mhm.
He's likable. Like if you had a party, I think you'd want Davion to come to your party,
Yeah, I
you
think so
know?
too. I think we talked about that off camera, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so Kimber says, sometimes we laugh, smile when super nervous. Yeah, exactly. When I'm angry, I cry, and
Mhm.
that's the last thing you want to do, right? Is cry when you're mad. Nancy is saying Scott Herman infuriated me when he dismissed ADHD and PTSD. It totally put me off. Interesting. Yeah, I think that I understand that a lot of people are like, they did the crime and there shouldn't be such a thing as mitigation, but it's law. It's the law. And, you know, I always go back to the same thing that I say every single time that we come on, which is put yourself in this position. Now, am I saying that you would go out and do this? No, but maybe your mother, sister, brother, cousin, aunt, uncle, somebody did and would. Do you want all the protections afforded to them by the Constitution? And the answer to that question should be yes.
Mhm.
And they should be afforded the rights that we are given in this country while we have them.
Right. Right. We have a question I thought was really good from the other day. We asked chat actually yesterday. So Camilla asked, "Do defense attorneys collaborate on the penalty phase
Oh, yeah, yeah,
to have
yeah.
cohesive closings? Do you like
To
or
my knowledge, no.
because
I mean, I
everybody's
have go ahead, sorry.
no, no, it's all right. It's like every literally every man for themselves. You kind of said that earlier. It's sorry, cuz, sorry, cousin, sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one of we have had in the past, like, the first phase and second phase counsel will work together.
Mhm.
Sometimes co-defendants counsel will, get together and say, hey, are we, taking a certain approach or whatnot. And if you go back and you watch when Scotty was doing the closing for Davion,
Mhm.
Brian hit his wall, right? He was exhausted. He was just kind of, and then
Mhm.
Scotty comes up. So he wakes up and he's kind of looking. And then Scotty throws Rashad under the bus and Brian's eyebrows, went up. And I
Mhm.
thought it's rare to see Brian surprised by anything. He's been doing this for so long, but I don't think mitigation attorneys necessarily collaborate. I thought they all did a very nice job on their closings, though.
They did. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody appreciated Scotty's because it was short, succinct, to the point. boom, didn't get
Yeah,
up there.
I'm on the mitigation phase. I thought
Yeah,
they all did a nice job on that.
yeah,
And um I don't know that I've made it all the way through the state's mitigation aggravation with second phase closing. Because like I said, I'm here for a reason. I'm not on vacation,
no,
sadly.
yeah.
Um,
And Wizard of
how
Ezzy. Oh,
comfortable
go ahead.
Oh, so
How comfortable
Alexis
were
is
you?
trying to help me the best she
Yeah.
can. I know she's frustrated because she would normally be in here starring things. Um, Glee roll, how comfortable were you all with the judge? All right, so you all tell me how you felt about the judge, and were you influenced at all by the way she handled Alicia Andrews' trial?
You know how I feel about that. That comment that she made. We talked about that. Should we talk about it again?
Yeah, please talk about it. I've got to find I can hear you. I'm gonna get up and walk away. I can still hear you.
Okay.
I've got to get a charger for the phone that's now providing the internet for the stream, but I can hear you. So keep talking and I'll be right back. Oh,
Okay.
I can get out of the chair.
So the penalty phase, no, I'm sorry, the guilt phase was 7.5 hours. And then Judge Cisco said to the jury at the right before they started to deliberate that it was, no, I think it was the day before. She said, bring a bag just in case. And she said twice, this trial will be over by Friday. This trial will be over by Friday. And then she said, bring an overnight bag just in case. And then she said, it's my experience that penalty phase verdicts are come back quicker than guilt phase. And to me, that was heavily prejudicing. I don't know if that's a word or not, but to me, that was very prejudicial to the jury, basically telling them it's going to be faster. It's not going to be 7.5 hours. It's going to be a lot quicker than that. Now, in this case, it actually was. It was an hour, less than an hour and a half. But for her to say that, I was it took me aback. I was like, if I was a defense attorney, I would be objecting to that. I would put that on the record and say, Judge, you literally just influenced the jury saying that it's going to take less time and they'll be out of here by Friday. So that did not sit well with me. All that being said, I can understand why Alicia's defense filed motions and got her removed. They got her removed successfully. So
I am not. So I think we did talk about this before, and you're right.
mhm.
I remember you telling me this. It was
All right, my turn to go let Ralph out. All right, I'm gonna
um
just go right there.
Sure, no problem. So, let's see. Nancy says, I like the judge in this particular trial, although I thought the defense attorneys were more respectful and worked well with the state. So, these defense attorneys know the prosecutors. I have been in court on trials with Michelle Doherty going back to 2016. So, I get a lot of clients that say, oh, why are, the families will say, well, why are they joking around with the state? Aren't you on our side? And things like that. And the judges often, know these attorneys, but with Alicia Andrews' attorneys, they weren't from Hillsborough County. They weren't Tampa attorneys. I think one of them is, but they all weren't. And I do think that I have seen Judge Cisco, if you want to see her handle something beautifully, watch her doing Ronnie O'Neal's sentencing.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually went up to her and I introduced myself and I said, I just wanted to tell you that I thought the way in which you handled Ronnie O'Neal was pretty amazing, the sentencing part especially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I don't like when judges put time limits on things for as important as this, when it seems like they're like, I will have this done for you by this date.
Mm-hmm.
That worries me to some extent. But on the other hand, then you don't want a situation where like the young thug YSL trial, right? That just
Right.
would have never ended. Most
Yeah.
RICO cases will plead down, and you finally
Mhm.
saw that starting to happen. But most RICO cases, they come in with a huge amount of defendants, and then they plead down, plead down, plead until you're just down to one or two or three. You
Mhm.
never normally see a case like that. But I feel like, so if you don't impose a time limit, then are you asking for a situation like that where a lawyer's just going to take advantage of it? I don't know. I don't know.
I I would have preferred her say, I'm planning on getting the evidence to you. The evidence is going to be done. Closing arguments will be done. You will start to deliberate on Friday. You can take as much time as you want. You will be sequestered, but we're not going to be, Mother's Day. We'll let you go home, but take as much time as you want. She didn't say that. She said, you're going to start to deliberate on Friday. Bring an overnight bag. But we won't hold you for Mother's Day. She never once said you can deliberate as long as you want. What if they deliberated until the following Tuesday or Wednesday? Would she have read the Allen charge or whatever it is in Florida? Would she? I don't know. And then
Well,
also
the
with this
Allen
one,
charge, doesn't that come in after they've come in and said we're deadlocked?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like it's the
yeah.
first deadlock, right? And then she
Yeah,
asked them to go back and you know, I if it were me and if it were my oh God, I'm frozen again.
it's
If
okay.
I
We can
were okay, if if it were me and people were considering what was going to happen to the rest of my life, then I would want them to be, to take the time they needed to do that,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. I just think I thought to me, it seemed like she was the way she phrased the guilt phase. It sounded to me that you guys, this trial will be over by Friday. And to me, if I'm a juror and I don't know the ins and outs, I'd be like, oh, cool. We'll be in and out of here by Friday. We'll have a weekend. Yay. Instead of you guys can deliberate as long as you need to. And you will be sequestered and we'll come back on Saturday and Monday if necessary, Tuesday, whatever it is. That's all. That kind of struck me as her putting a time frame of like this trial is going to be done by Friday. Like that to me, that
I
I
didn't
that
like it either.
didn't
So
strike me well. Yeah.
I've missed somebody who keeps asking about the appeals, whether there will be appeals. So there will be appeals, but like I have said repeatedly, appeals are not do-overs. They will never
Mhm.
get their charges reduced. And I think somebody was asking, oh, Alicia Andrews. She
Mhm.
cannot be retried for charges of which she was acquitted. So she can only be retried at manslaughter. She cannot be retried for anything above that. That is not how
Mhm.
this works. It is not a do-over.
Right.
Okay. And I said that in your chat, I think like end of sentence, period, stop,
Mhm.
because we've got one that's the same exact situation. Um, and you can't be retried for something you've been acquitted. You've already been tried. You've been acquitted. That's double
Mhm.
jeopardy, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
like, just like you can't all of a sudden in the middle of trial seek the death penalty against someone. No,
Mhm.
there's a
Mhm.
process. You guys don't get to arbitrarily pull in rules. Yes, there will be an appeal. What does that mean? It means that a notice of appeal will be filed with the district courts. If it had been death, it would go straight to the Florida Supreme Court. An appellate attorney would review the entire record, which is everything that was transcribed. And they
Mhm.
go through and they look for constitutional errors. Was something more probative or more prejudicial than probative that was let in
Mhm.
for the one that was overturned? So when I worked with Nick Sonardi, directly in his office, we tried a double homicide case. And it came to trial in 2016. It was old too. It was like a 2012 case. Came up
Mhm.
in 2016. We tried it in March of 2016. Judge would not let our jailhouse snitch testify, but let the state's jailhouse snitch testify. So when the current defense attorney is done, they file the notice of appeal. So everybody's like, oh, it's the same lawyers doing Sarah Boone's appeal. No, the defense
Mhm.
attorney files the notice of appeal, the circuit level attorney, and then they will file a motion to withdraw. Again, there's process and procedure to everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yeah.
just this arbitrary situation. Then they will withdraw, and the court will have to, a new appellate attorney will have to be appointed, and the state will pay for one. Then that attorney will go through and review the entire record. And so for this example case that we tried in 2016, like I said, the jailhouse snitch was our counter witness, if you will. I think I just made that up. Was not allowed to testify. The Second District Court of Appeals thought that was wrong. So they overturned the conviction, sent it back for a new trial. We did retry it in March of 2020. And that time he was acquitted. He got not guilty on 2 counts of first degree. And there was a whole bunch of factors that went into that. So sometimes a conviction does get overturned on an appeal, but more often than not, they're upheld. So it's all those motions that are filed. People are like, this is stupid. Why are they arguing that? This man should sit down and shut up or whatever. No, they're preserving their client's rights, because maybe the judge did make an error by saying, oh, you have a time limit, or calling out, one of the lawyers in front of the jury, or something like that happened. If it were, again, put yourself in your shoe, in their shoes. Sorry.
Yep. No, I know. I got you.
Do that and think about, what if it were you? Would you be saying, sit down and shut up?
Right. No, you wouldn't. You'd say, keep talking. Talk as long as you need to.
Yes.
Mike is
rock and roll.
Hey, Mike.
888.
Yep. Was the jailhouse person allowed to testify? Okay.
Absolutely was. You
want to read that one?
I watched this judge preside over a DP case. The defendant was pro se. His name, I believe, is Ronnie O'Neill. It was a crazy trial. He did unspeakable things to a child, and I believe he could. Yeah, I think you're talking about Ronnie O'Neill. I could be wrong.
We so wanted to do him as like an Ego Takes the Stand or a rewatch of him.
He's just, I don't even know if he's an Ego Takes the Stand kind of thing. You know what? I want to talk to you guys about Steven Lorenzo, because I think we could do an Ego Takes the Stand situation.
Okay. Now him I'm not familiar with.
No, you wouldn't be.
What's his name?
It's
Lorenzo.
Steven Lorenzo. Yeah. So do you guys have any additional questions? When Ronnie said, if you think I'm here to play around with you all, GD, I'm not. I lost it. Yeah, that was just a heartbreaking and awful situation. What I wonder now, did you see that I sent it to you that Young and Ace released a song 2 days ago?
Yeah, we listened to it. Yep.
I did not listen to it. I just saw it and sent it to you.
Richard's asking about Detective Ramos. You asked that a couple of times, Richard. What did you think, Katie?
Your chat really liked Detective Ramos. I'm not sure that I felt exactly the same way. I don't know. I think sorry, I think I have a little bit of bias in that. I feel in general that Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office does a better investigation than Ramos, the TPD. I think I went into this not liking him because he didn't finish writing his reports. Like, I have 2,000 pages of police reports, and it was like there's a thing at the end of a report, and it's like, is this finished? You're supposed to say this ends my whatever, and that didn't happen on any of his. Like, I was waiting, like, where's the rest? And we never got it. I
was impressed with his, and I want to get Barry's question as well. Richard, I was impressed by his knowledge of minute details, because whenever a question was asked, he was like, that was 1:32 a.m. on October 20th, or he was spot on with his and he did that, and we watched a pretrial during one of our deep dives, and then he carried that same knowledge over. So I was impressed on that level of his attention, or his able ability to recall incredibly minute details in comparison to Corey Richins, that lead detective. You remember Richard, that lead detective? He was like, I don't remember. I don't know. I don't remember. I mean, he literally, they were like night and day. So I appreciate Detective Ramos for that.
Well, I mean, think about it. How many times did he have to do that testimony? Because he had to do it in the pretrial detention hearing for the
Mm-hmm.
first round of defendants. And then he would have to do it for uh, Alicia Andrews' trial. And then again, when Davion was arrested, like
Mm-hmm.
he's been over that case a million times, it feels like. So Barry is asking what I feel like is a loaded
Mm-hmm.
pun sort of
Yep.
intended question. Do you think the jury would have had a different recommendation if it wasn't Charles Jones who was blamed, but a white record producer backer and or someone in the hotel caught strays? So I think that's you've got a lot of different factors going on there. I don't know that anybody here knew anything about Charles Jones. Um, I don't know that they understood what those of us free to research this on the internet, that they understood how much responsibility that Charles Jones portrayed in his songs for the death
Mm-hmm.
of his ops. Right. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying he committed those crimes. He's never been convicted of that. He was never convicted of anything. So I'm just saying that in his lyrics, for example, in List of Dead Ops, that's a
Yep.
long list.
Yep.
But we didn't know that. And when I say we, Tampa residents didn't, unless they were drill rap fans, wouldn't have known that. This jury wouldn't have known that.
Right.
So, I don't think, unless you go back and you really kind of study this whole thing, that you understand that When I See You is such a deep diss to Ace and his brother and those two friends. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you understand. I don't think that comes across. So I'm
Right.
not sure it's about color. I'm not sure it's about what what Charles Jones did for a living, because he
Mm-hmm.
was playing a strip club here at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah.
So you can never tell what a jury's going to do. You can never tell who's going to be the foreperson and who's going to be the alternates. I think this time we did know who the alternates were going to be. I was so far away from the jury, I could barely see them. That's a big courtroom, and there were a
Mm-hmm.
lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if someone in the hotel caught strays, but the state sought the death penalty. What worse? How worse do you? There is no higher charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah.
there is.
Yeah. It would have been interesting if that the wife of they were visiting. I think they were going to the zoo or something, and a fragment went across her leg and it burned her leg. And there were kids. She had kids. There was the mother who was just put her daughter into school across the street. Yeah,
Mhm.
what happens if a kid got taken out? You know.
I think had that happened, had someone really been injured, gravely injured, or ended up as collateral damage, if you will,
Hmm.
besides the victims' friends, which are um, Xavier
I know.
Edwards, Gino Norris, and
Hmm.
Camilla Bentley.
Hmm.
If it had been, they didn't want to cooperate. They
Hmm.
didn't want to participate in this. Um, I just saw before coming on here tonight where Xavier Edwards, who goes by Omerta 55,
Hmm.
was interviewed by Say Cheese and about why he didn't watch the trial. I haven't seen the video yet because I was coming on here to talk to you guys about the trial.
Hmm.
Um, but I think had another person been taken out, innocent
Hmm.
bystander, then Tampa would have heard a whole lot more about this case.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Agreed. Do you think Ramos was withholding something
such as
for
what?
Gilmer?
What do you think? Kimbers.
Well, C. Gilmore asked the question. I don't get that he was withholding anything. But you were questioning his reporting or his writing of the
Oh,
report.
no, I just think he
Yeah.
didn't finish his work.
Yeah.
I just think he
Okay.
didn't finish his work. FYI, Barry says I'm here at my computer desk verbalizing and talking with my hands like we're actually conversing. I appreciate the conversational teaching moment. I don't realize how much I talk with my hands till I see myself on the screen, and then I'm like, oh God.
It's okay. It's okay.
And my mom's like, you need to stop playing with your hair. I'm like, look, it's always going to be something, right? There's a glare in my glasses. I talk with my hands. The cat
Yeah.
is biting me. There's always going to be something.
The longer you do this, the more you're like, yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, well, you guys know I just show up sometimes with a hat on and I don't care. I'm not saying that I think Ramos is lazy. I'm just saying there were unfinished narratives in these police reports. And one of the most frustrating things for me was we had no arrest report for Davion. Jacksonville's arrest reports, or like their field incident reports, at least for as they pertain to this case, were less than impressive. Did any of the attorneys question my work findings? No. Well, yes, to an extent. So Davion, I took my work product, which was basically, an analysis of the evidence, research into the history of the who's who and the what's what and the when what happened to whom, where, all of that. And let's say that like a lot of background research went into this. I mean, there was an absolute ton of discovery. The way it came to me, it was at least 4 terabytes. And it was like, if you picked up a filing cabinet and you just shook it and let everything fall out. That's how the discovery was. And I couldn't make heads or tails out of it because Jacksonville does things so much differently. And then there was Gwinnett County and there was Polk County. And I was like, I do not understand what's happening here. So I actually had to go to the internet to even understand the framework of the case. Often I'll go to the CRA, which is the criminal report affidavit, which is what they use here. That will usually give you a really good overview. So like I go looking for that. I'll look for the indictment or an information and start to sort of see, oh, okay, these pieces fit together. I had to do so much more background research. I put more hours into that than I could ever dream of billing for, just to try to make sense of who was who and why it mattered. And so Davion, I went through and reviewed some of it with him at the jail. And I said, I need you to tell me if I'm correct about these names, these dates, these things, because I'm like, it's not ever going to be published to the public. It's not going to be given to the state. This is for us in aiding our understanding, so that we can provide you with a good defense. And he, on my 112-page document, which Alexis put her heart and soul into, he had 2 corrections, and that was it. And then we did translations of the lyrics, and he reviewed all those, and he said, I totally vouch for all of this, the way in which I had interpreted, or she, and I say but Alexis works very, very hard, and she doesn't like it when I praise her and publicly, but I'm doing it because she does. So we had put a lot of time and effort into all of that. Ms. Toomey, this was the first time we worked together. She had not known me before. Once she looked at my stuff, she liked it. But I had the work product I created for this case was very, very specific to this case and very specific to this attorney for this case. So he didn't question me on it. It's so hard to wrap your head around it. This entire massive war, as they called it, goes back so far. It's just crazy. I mean, the state did their best to sneak as much of it in as they could.
Just
Hopefully
gonna.
that did that answer anything? Probably not.
No, it did. It did. I was just saying goodnight to Joanne. She's gonna take off. Well, as we found out in the guilt phase, the state was only supposed to talk about 6 prior incidences, and they brought in all kinds of stuff. And they were showing videos, and they were talking about all these different people. And I know the defense was like, "Why are you guys? What you're not supposed to talk about all these alleged gang members, all this stuff." So I know the state was trying to probably always trying to get more in, right? And defense is always trying to keep things
Yeah,
out. Defense is trying to bring stuff in.
right. That's true. And I mean, there's often things that um there's often things that uh the defense wants out sometimes. So one of the biggest rulings in this case came, and this was done publicly in the courtroom, so I can talk about it, like, even if it's not on camera, right? The courtroom is open to the public. There
Yep.
was a motion hearing. There were some text messages that were sent from Sean's phone that had a sign off of Dash Murph.
Mm.
And the judge said to the state, if you want to keep these in, you're severing Davion Murphy from the other defendants. You're going to have to try him separately. And so the state did not get to keep those text messages in.
Mm-hmm.
There was one small victory for us.
That's pretty big, because imagine if this had been severed. Does
Yeah,
that mean
we
everybody
needed,
severed, or would it just been Davion would have been
so
severed?
it would have been Davion severed from
Okay,
the others.
gotcha. Hmm.
Okay, so Nancy is saying, wouldn't Omerta 55 have been banned from watching the trial as a potential witness anyway? And Alexis is saying Omerta 55 went into surgery and was never formally interviewed and was never listed as a potential witness. I think that the defense may have called him in Alicia Andrews' trial, which is where we saw him testify.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, I was like, why isn't so-and-so testifying? Why isn't so-and-so testifying? I mean, our witness list, the final witness list was 70 witnesses long. So the original one was at least twice that, if not longer. But I realized that Alicia's defense had called a lot of witnesses, and those were the people that we had heard testify, because I didn't sit and watch her trial. I listened to a lot of it. I'm not always able to just sit and stare at the screen. I was taking her trial in, knowing that I was working, on Davion's case. So I think that some of the witnesses I had expected to see, like, I don't even know that I was paying attention to the witness list, to be honest with you. I do work on it. Like, I have my methods of what I do, but I've got a lot of M cases right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at my calendar. There are 3 big cases going to trial in June. And I'm like,
Oh,
you've got
wow.
to be kidding me. I'm in Ohio right now. I mean, I have my computer, obviously, but I'm not in a position where I can do a lot of work at the moment.
Yeah, somebody was asking you. Oh, that was Hellrider was asking what's your next trial. So you have 3 coming up.
Yeah, but I don't think any of them are going to be televised. And so, believe it or not, Scotty Sonardi we were supposed to start a M trial on Monday, and the guy pled, like, at the last minute. And that is crazy to think that we just run from one right into the other one before. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Do I think J. Breezy will have charges brought against him? I don't know. I mean, obviously, so J. Breezy is Ja'Cory Rivers. The connection that I'm aware of is what was brought out at trial, which is that he paid his Cash App, paid for, like, money went to Sean's phone or Isaiah's phone, paid for the
Isaiah.
Airbnb.
Yeah. Yeah. I went through
And
Isaiah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, is it illegal to send somebody money? I don't know. Clearly they didn't have enough to pick him up on a conspiracy charge.
Mhm.
I hear everybody's saying Rico's coming for Ace, Rico's coming for Ace. That I don't know. That comes from a statewide prosecutor usually, not always.
Mhm.
Um, if they can prove that there's a criminal enterprise there, if you go and you look, there are corporations behind some of the music stuff.
Mhm.
I don't know enough to answer that. Um, let's
Well,
see.
it was very interesting that that money came in, and then they went to Tampa. That money came in specifically for them to stay in Tampa. And I thought, I forget who it was, one of the prosecutors, maybe Ismer, maybe Miss Ismer, right? She said, is it feasible that they traveled, 3 hours, 200 some odd miles, and they were on vacation and they just hung out in a parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning? Does that sound, or maybe it was Miss
And to
Doherty.
eat at a McDonald's,
Does
to
that sound
eat at a
logical to
McDonald's,
you? And
it
that
doesn't.
was that really sunk in. I'm like, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
I've made the drive between Jacksonville and Tampa, and I've done it a couple of different ways,
Mhm.
and you can, I mean, you saw the cell phone mapping data, but it- yeah, I found I just didn't find Alicia Andrews to be credible. So I don't know. Like my
Yeah.
hang up is with her. Like, how are you that ignorant? And how did the jury buy that? In fact, my dad was talking to me about that today at lunch.
Mm.
What about the girl? Like, how did that happen? I'm like, I don't know.
What about
He's
the
like,
everybody's
I
like,
just
what about the
didn't
girl?
find that credible. And I'm like, me either. Cause I know I was a hell of a lot smarter. I would have been asking a lot of
Yeah.
questions,
And she
you
didn't know
know,
who Gutazay was, even though it's like tattooed right on her
tattooed
chest.
on her. She didn't know why
Come
she was
on.
on vacation with her boyfriend, but they went to,
They
yeah,
went clubbing and she's got like a hoodie on
you're
and
in a car with
jeans.
strange, you're in an
Come on.
Airbnb with strange people. I mean, come on,
I know.
you
I know.
know.
Yep. 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 Yep.
So C. Gilmore has a question for me that's more general. Is how did I get interested in my profession? Was it a calling? Absolutely not. I never thought I'd work in criminal defense. My decision to go to law school obviously was very late in life. And when I moved up here, I got a job working at Nick Sonardi's office as, in criminal defense. And I didn't know my job existed until I working through his office, I hired Billy Lane to work on the Stephen Lorenzo case.
Mm-hmm.
And I was more interested in the reading the discovery and taking it like from the trial that we had done in 2016 into into 2020. I was more
Mm-hmm.
interested in like finding reasonable doubt and like pulling doing all the little puzzly pieces. There's a lot less of that now because everything is digital, everything's on our phones. You sent me a quote that said, it's a crime scene in your pocket
Mm-hmm.
for the phones. So I didn't even know it existed, but I felt like at this stage of the game with as we age, we all face different issues, that I would be better suited to doing this than to being a litigator of some sort. And maybe if I had done things differently and I was younger, it would be a different outcome. But I wouldn't even say, I don't even think I'm really an investigator so much as an analyst.
Mm-hmm.
And people think it's a very glamorous job. It's not. It's just not. Like there are, I guess, PIs out there that get to do glamorous work. I do not. If you think sitting in the county jail with Sarah Boone for 4 hours at a time is glamorous for $50 an hour,
Oh, the stories you can tell, though.
like I mean, it's just, yeah, you see me, sitting in these courtrooms, but you don't see all the lugging of computers and iPads and files and hard drives and
Mhm.
finding the parking place and remembering to pay for the parking on your app, and then going through security and having to pull all this crap out of your bag. And what courtroom? Oh, we're doing a jury selection in a different courtroom, and the trial's in a courtroom over here. And
Mhm.
then being faced with the cameras, that's new.
Mhm.
The camera thing, that's new. And for Sunny Bell, that camera was right next to me. And this one, I was mostly hidden, and I was not sad about it.
Mhm. Do you think we'll hear from a juror? Some people are. I think Lazy Boys asked that. Like, why do you think they went? You know, life without parole versus DP, and I'm like, well, I hope that we can hear from a juror at some point. I know it's totally up to them, but what's your take? Do you think they'll talk to anybody at any point in time, or
It's hard to say.
I know, yeah,
You know,
people, yeah.
I don't know that a juror in a case like this would be comfortable speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially if they went home and they started Google searching and they
Mm-hmm.
saw more of the weapons that are used in the music videos and the viciousness of it. I
Yeah,
think that if I were a juror in this kind of a case and I wasn't familiar with any of it, there's no, I
I
wouldn't talk.
keep a low profile. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. I had misgivings about coming on here and doing this, but at the same time, I felt like like, well, I haven't done anything wrong. I did my job,
Right.
and people may not like that I work on the defense, but I could just as easily be an investigator in the state's attorney's office.
And jurors don't know that a witness wants to be off camera. The judge says, like when the state says the next, or the defense, the next witness doesn't want to be on camera, that's outside the presence of the jury. So the jury doesn't know that a witness is on camera or not. So the reason I say that
The
is
jury
it,
doesn't realize where the cameras even are, because
right,
if you
right.
look up, you can see like the security cameras that are
Mm-hmm,
throughout the courtroom.
mm-hmm,
These cameras that they're using look like little mini R2D2s on a
mm-hmm,
pole,
mm-hmm,
and so if you didn't know what you were looking for, like it took me a minute to figure out, oh, that thing, it turns and it's following. So I don't, and there's no camera positioned, that could catch the jury. In that courtroom, the jury box is over on the side. They just walk out of their box and through a
mm-hmm.
door and out down a hallway.
Yeah.
Um, but if I had been a juror on this case, I would probably go home and look it up, like,
Mm-hmm.
look up some of the things. And if I did that, there'd be no way I would talk. I would
Yeah.
probably be afraid to. And
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Why do I think the jury gave them life? Um, well, it's by statute, and they had to go and they had to match up and I'll put the statute into a post so people can read it, but they had to go back there and basically read through the list of the aggravators versus the mitigators and make that decision. And that's the decision that they came to. I wasn't a part of that process,
Mm-hmm.
um, but it's laid out for the jury in Florida statute. So they can't just make stuff up, right?
No.
They have to
Yeah.
say, did the state it's greater weight of the evidence. Did the defense provide greater weight of the mitigation in the form of greater weight of the evidence, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, let's see. Who am
Yeah,
I
it's
missing?
interesting because while you pull up another one, the verdict form was they proved it was cold, calculated, premeditated. They proved criminal gang member. They proved they considered aggravated outweigh the mitigation. They proved great risk to many people, contemporaneously convicted, and they still went with life without parole, which is kind of interesting because it seems like the state proved everything that they needed to prove, and yet they still went with with life without parole. So take that for whatever it is. Lazy Boys asks, do you go through trash?
So for anybody, I think he's referring to I'm going to say it's a boy, right? Lazy
As a
boy.
private investigator, or that's what Henry does, right?
Oh my God, does he ever? That cat will go through any trash looking for any. It's crazy. Um, so I think he's referring to Brian Kohlberger. If your trash leaves the curtilage of your house, it's fair game. But no, I don't go through trash.
Mhm.
Like I said, like by the time I come along, we're pretty far down the road from that. It would be the police that are going after your trash, not
Mhm.
me. Thank goodness. Hold on, I starred a couple of people. Now let me see if I can find them.
Yeah, Nancy, the sweat equity. When Sam was just saying all the work that you do that we don't see, that's the sweat equity. I was going to say sweat equity then.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but I don't do it by myself. It's not just, thank God I don't do it by myself. At the level that we're working right now, I couldn't do my business by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And Alexis originally came on just to she's like, I wish there was a way I could help you with your billing because it was taking me forever so that you could do more on YouTube. And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then I figured out how she could. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's just sort of like we walked away from YouTube and more into this because, if you have to take the work when it comes and you can't count on it always being like that. Sometimes you have a pandemic that
Mm-hmm.
shuts down your entire, world,
Right.
and which, happened to me. So, yeah, it's Scotty and Alexis and we work on a lot of cases together, but I've got another attorney who I really enjoy working with, and he and Alexis and I work together as well, and he does a lot of federal cases, and I very much enjoy him and working with him. So, I don't have a lot of attorneys, um but I have a lot of work from the attorneys I do have. Do I
Mm-hmm.
have so Nancy, do I have some clients that want the DP? I had one. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him. We're just going to do it. Let me see. How
Richard
do I
brings up a
start?
good point. Yeah, it has to be on the curb. It can't be on, if it's on your property, they can't just go into your trash. It's on your property. It has to be on the curb. Or we've seen a lot where somebody's like at a McDonald's and they'll take a sip and they'll throw
Yeah, it's called the curtilage.
yeah, yeah. So we've seen that. Um, they've gotten DNA off of somebody who's taken a sip off of McDonald's cup or something like that.
Oh, I'm so forgot how StreamYard works. Um,
Was it
how about that
curtilage?
one?
Curtilage?
Curtilage.
Curtilage. Okay.
Curti lidge.
It's like
Li.
cartilage, but curtilage.
Yes,
Yeah.
curtilage.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting. Well, the
Right?
curb isn't yours. I mean, that's technically the county or the whatever. Like once it's on the curb, it's the state. Well, I guess it's more the county or the town, wherever you live in. It's their property. Yeah, Pammy's got it. Curtilage. Yeah, it's like cartilage, but curtilage.
Mhm,
Well, yeah,
mhm.
that's a good question. I think I've asked you that one before.
Possibly. I learned a lot of really interesting phrasing in law school. And for anybody out there that may be contemplating law school, if you can take a class, is it etymology? That is like the origin of language words. So much, if you have an understanding of Latin, you can probably speak a whole lot of, or at least read a whole lot of languages more easily. And then a lot of the legal stuff will start to make more sense too. It's weird. Like I
Hmm.
can think backwards now and say, oh, okay, now I understand. No, like for example, no prosecution.
Hmm.
Right. It's not that hard to like make those connections.
Sure.
Uh, Great games. I don't think you've ever missed a stream. Have I ever been afraid of anyone in court or been hurt? No, no.
Hmm.
Um, there've been a couple of people that there was one guy who I had heard could be pretty temperamental. So instead of going I normally just go into a room and have a contact visit. So like it's me a table and a chair, table, chair, and they put me closest to a button on the wall, but now they've gone to a thing that you hang around your neck that you can squeeze to call for emergency help. So there was one guy who I was told was pretty volatile. So instead of going into the room with him, I saw him through like a plexiglass thing. And it's funny because he was a drill rapper and I didn't know it. Like I knew
Mhm.
it, but I didn't understand that's what he did. Like I found his channel, I found his songs. I didn't understand what I was looking at the time. And he and I ended up getting in plenty of screaming arguments with each other. And that's not normal, but I wasn't afraid of him in that moment. Maybe I should have been because he offed his best friend in the car and pushed him out the highway to the highway somewhere. So
Mm.
I don't know. But no, there no. I don't I feel like I don't feel particularly safe in the Pinellas County jail if I'm by myself. They
Mhm.
take you back into the pods, and it's old school, like rolling jail prison gates. I
Mhm.
hate it there so much. I've said that a million times. Um, the Hillsborough County Jail, I'm very comfortable there. I'm comfortable with the personnel there. I'm comfortable with the setup there, all the things. Do I work in different jurisdictions or only in Tampa? I can work anywhere in the state of Florida. And I have worked on cases in Seminole County. I've got one up north. I can't think of the county it's in right now. I worked on Sarah Boone. I've
Mhm.
got a couple of Pinellas cases. Um, yeah, it doesn't, it's up to the attorney if they want to, put in a motion for me. Um, let's see. Have I missed anybody? Did we get them all?
I think
We're up
so.
past everybody's bedtime.
I know it's mine.
I know, I can tell you're getting tired. We started early. And I'm tired. So I want to say that I appreciate so much all the new subscribers. I
Yay!
appreciate all the way your chat treated me as I just sort of showed up one day
Mhm.
and made myself known. I couldn't
Nice.
help it, but I did try really. I had to walk. Aaron was like, "You need to stop watching the chat right now." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to stop watching the chat right now and
Yeah.
walk away. This is not my channel and I need to be, I got frustrated a couple of times, but your mods did a great job and I know Aaron brought some of them over here tonight. I missed another question. Is it crazy to think that I did see this. I just didn't get it. I apologize. On the ground 09 from Spain. Is it crazy to think that some of the retaliation could happen from one of the gangs? Towards who? No, I don't think that's crazy, but I don't think it's going to show up here in Tampa, if
Mm-mm.
that's what you're asking. Like, do I think retaliation against the police, the prosecution, the
A
defense? No.
juror, if a juror
Juror.
comes out and talks, yeah.
I don't think any juror is going to talk.
Mhm.
But if there's retaliation for this, it would happen in Jacksonville, I would think.
Yeah.
It would. They came to Tampa. This is not a Tampa problem, right? They
Mhm.
just happened to pull their Jacksonville issue into Tampa, same way it went to Houston. Um, but anyway, I wanted to finish saying that I really appreciated your mods. I am a mod on your channel. I almost never ever do any modding. And before I could even, like sometimes I would go to do some moderation and somebody had just like beat me to it like that. And I'd text her and I'd be like, tell them how much I love them right now.
Our mods
So
are on it. Our mods are
I
on
really
it.
appreciate it. Yeah. So,
Oh wait, on the ground was saying between the gangs,
oh,
between gangs,
between the
yeah.
gangs, yeah.
Um,
I think it's entirely possible.
yeah, the leader essentially. I mean, Julio Foolio was the leader. He was the face. He was the
He
leader.
was the face of
You know,
Six Block. I mean, he
six.
put
Yeah.
himself out there, and
So
I don't. I I want to say that he in his own words, and you can go and look at the various interviews he gave to different channels on
Mhm.
YouTube. He said, I understand the life I chose, and
Mhm.
I understand how it's going to end one way
Yep.
or another. And
Right.
I'm not saying that that means it was okay for this to happen to him,
Mhm.
but he seemed to have a level of acceptance about it, a level
Mhm.
of understanding, that
Yeah.
what he had chosen was basically high risk and it was going to end in one of two ways.
Yeah. Yep.
That's not justifying it. I'm not justifying it.
Mhm.
Um, but I thought that was really interesting,
Mhm.
you know,
Sure.
to
Sure.
be that young and to feel that way.
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I would think that there has to be some level of the four that did this have to be on one with one group of people are looked up to, right? Like if you're on their side, they're like, hey, you took out the leader, you took out the general, you took out the president, you took whatever you want to call Charles Jones. They took him out. So there has to be some in some people's eyes, like they're elevated, you know.
I that could be, but Davion said to me, he said, no matter what the outcome is of this
Hmm.
trial, whether it's not guilty, life, or death, this is going to follow me around for the rest. I will be looking over my shoulder for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And he's not wrong
Yeah.
because, this doesn't end when you go to prison
Mm-mm.
because there are a lot of people who are locked up that came from this like we've talked about Queso before,
Hmm.
Hakeem Robinson from Jacksonville,
Hmm.
who was convicted for the murder of Charles McCormick and then pled to Bibby.
Hmm.
So it's not like the prisons don't have people for I mean we saw his family members.
Hmm.
This will follow them around.
Yeah.
Will some people look up to them for it? Maybe, probably, but is the ops gonna be looking to get them? Maybe, you
Hmm.
know?
Yep. Yeah, and
Uh,
both sides have people inside. Both both
mhm,
both sides have people in prison. So
yeah,
Davion's right. Yeah, I mean he'll have his group that are protecting him. He'll have the group that's trying to take him out while he's in
yep,
there to get
yep,
back. So
yep, for
the
sure.
Aladdin Kings,
The
Iowa
Aladdin.
backyard,
Um,
Rashi.
so anyway, I wanna say thank you all for hanging thank you for coming to
Yes,
the
yeah.
craziness. Thank you to Chris, as always, for staying up late and reining me in
Party
because
at Sam's house. Woohoo! I
yeah,
like your mood lighting. I like your mood lighting.
I'm on like I'm in a sunroom and that's the only lamp. Like when I started, it was light outside and I'm surrounded by windows. I was looking for a place where like I could sit and plug in at the same time. And
You did a fantastic job.
I'm
Thank you
not at
for
home,
thank you for
obviously.
accommodating us, going through,
No,
being
I
out of state, out of your comfort zone. So appreciate that.
No, I'm so grateful that you were willing to do this with me. And again, I
Absolutely.
appreciate your chat and your mods who came over to make sure that this was a safe space for everyone
Mhm.
tonight. And so yeah, I don't know what my streaming schedule is going to look like. I'm trying to be more present on YouTube. I don't know if any of my upcoming trials are going to be streamed, but you'll know if they are.
Okay.
So, and make sure anybody who hears me, I'm assuming you all are subscribed to Trial TV Live. And if you're not, get your butts over there and do that, please.
Thank you,
No,
thank you.
Henry's not alone. There's a little
No.
girl and her mom that live around the corner from me that are obsessed with him. He's fine, I promise.
No, yes, no, it's Henry's being well taken care of. So maybe, June 22nd after their sentencing,
Oh,
maybe
right. We had talked about that.
we can
Yeah,
do one more kind of final, put a
sure.
bow on it kind of thing. We can do that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
all right,
Absolutely.
cool.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us. I appreciate it and I hope you gained some insight.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
Yeah. No, everybody did. From what I'm seeing, reading in chat, I think a lot of people really appreciate you, appreciate what you do, how you handle yourself, and everything that you you educated a lot of people tonight, so that's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And you guys are
Mhm.
going to follow Alicia's motion for new trial next
Mhm.
week.
Yep, yep,
I
next
will be.
Friday, 22nd, yeah,
I will
next Friday.
be. I will be back in Tampa. So yeah, well, I'm supposed to be back in Tampa, and so that will be interesting. I will be watching that for sure.
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah,
Maybe we
and
could
I'll let you
talk
guys
about that.
know. I will make sure that Davion knows. And I did tell him, and we'd show him text messages and things that he had support. And I'll make sure that you're able to do that. Okay. So
Sounds
thank you
good.
guys. Everyone, be safe out there, make safe choices, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.